We will start in just under 2 minutes. Hang in there. So we are just about ready to start our 12th Sutta class. We will start with an apology for last week's we were unable to have the class last week because we had issue with power in the country. So today we will bring to you the 12th Sutta lesson, as always, by our esteemed teacher, Most Venerable Bulwala Ratanasiri Thero, the Chief Abbot of Millava Dharma Vijayarama Temple in Kurunegala, Sri Lanka. So I welcome you, Reverend Sir, and it is time for us to start. So over to you.
Good evening. Let's start our Sutta lesson today. The Sutta that I have selected for today is Vitakka Santana Sutta in the Majjhima Nikaya. The commentary for Majjhima Nikaya, as you know, Papancha Sudani. When the Buddha lived in Jetavanaramaya in Sravasti, he addressed a group of bhikkhus and Buddha preached this Vitakka Santana Sutta. This Vitakka Santana Sutta is relevant to those who practice Samatha and Vipassana meditation, tranquility and insight. But lay people also, it is relevant, those who practice meditation. Buddha addressed the group of bhikkhus and said, those who practice the high morality, that means adhicitta, those who practice high morality, it is depend on vipassana and concentration, samatha bhavana, based on samatha bhavana and vipassana bhavana. They have to train their mind. If any vitakka, that is unwholesome thoughts, arise in their mind, they have to abolish those defilements using strategies that the Buddha had pointed out in this sutta. The Buddha addressed those group of bhikkhus and said, those who practiced high morality, that is adhicitta. Let's understand what is this high morality or adhicitta. What is this training of this adhicitta? Adhicitta meaning those who practice a wholesome karma path. Those who engage in tenfold of wholesome activities, they are called karma path, kusala karma path. When person want to practice concentrations and insight meditation, first they have to develop their morality. You know the pathway towards Nibbana, Sila, Samadhi, Panya. Adichitta also comes under Sila, morality. Let's understand how to develop Adichitta. To develop Adichitta, morality, high morality, person has to abstain from a tenfold of unwholesome activities. Dasa akusala. He has to abstain from dasa akusala and develop dasa kusala. And now we'll try to understand what are those tenfold of wholesome activities. Abstaining from killing beings. Abstaining from killing beings, person developed or generate the wholesome activity, wholesome consciousness. You know, in Abhidhamma, there are 8 wholesome consciousness. They are known as Somanassa Sahagata, Jnana Sampayutta, Asankara. In that way, in Abhidhamma, it has been explained wholesome consciousness. When person developed his wholesome activities, that means if he abstain from unwholesome activities, there arise those wholesome consciousness through his 5 faculties. Eye, ear, nose, tongue, and body. He takes objects like figure, sound, fragrance, taste, tangibility, in that way, abstaining from killing and abstaining from steal, abstaining from sexual misconduct, abstaining from lying, abstaining from malicious speech, abstaining from gossip speech, abstaining from harsh speech, abstaining from ignorance speech, useless speech, abstaining from courteousness, abstaining from ill will, and abstaining from wrong views, mithya ditti. When person abstain from those 10-fold of unwholesome activities, there in his mind arise those wholesome consciousnesses. Somanassa Sahagata, Jnana Sampayutta, Asankarika. Somanassa Sahagata Jnana Sampayutta Asankarika is the most powerful, wholesome consciousness. When we consider about Adichitta, there arise other factors also that connect with samatha and vipassana meditation. And now we'll try to understand the tenfold of unwholesome activities. First, tenfold of unwholesome activities. And that's a akusala. Now we'll take the first one, killing being. To complete the killing, there must be 5 conditions. First one is there must be a being. The killer, the doer, he must know this is the being. Then the killer must have the mind or consciousness to kill the animal. Then he apply method, strategy to kill the animal. Then he kill the animal. So after completing those 5 conditions, the wholesome, unwholesome karma is completed there. Unwholesome karma is completed there. So to commit unwholesome activity killing, you have to complete those 5 conditions. Now suppose a hunter, he prepare weapons and he think of how to hunt the animals, and he think of what are the places that animals associate. In that way, he make some plans to kill animals or to hunt animals. Then he goes to the forest or the place, and then he find out the animals to hunt or kill. He waited for some time, for many hours, but he can't find any animals there. Then what happened? He returned his home without hunting. Then what happened that he has not committed the unwholesome activity they are killing, because he could not kill animal, he did not meet any animal. But there is a misbehavior in action. Bodily, there is a misbehavior of him. he has not committed the sin of killing the animals. It is that activity has not become karma power, so it won't effect or result as a karma, as a karmic effect. It does not effect in future or in this time in this world. In that way, the Buddha has explained uh, the conditions that there are to commit those 10 fault of unwholesome activities. Stealing also same. The robber must know this is the good that belongs to other person. Then he want to take that good or steal. He has decided to have it, and he use some method, strategies. You know, when people plan great robberies, they plan and they apply so many developed strategies, and then after that they rob. But if they can't rob, there won't be the committing of the sin. So Buddha, in that way, Buddha has explained the conditions of how to uh, commit wrong things. Sexual misconduct also same. Buddha has explained uh, for men who are the women not to associate the woman guarded or saved by her mother, the woman saved by her father, or the woman under his brother, under his master, or a woman who is in a religious institute. Such ladies must not be associated with the man, the female, male one. That's how the Buddha explained how to keep our discipline, abstaining from all those wrongdoings. In that way, you have to understand these unwholesome activities in detail. Telling lie, then it must be a lie, and other must expect it, and he has the idea to cheat the person in that way. You have to commit so many conditions. In malicious speech also same. There the speaker must have idea to create favority towards himself. He wants to separate the two intimate friends by speaking malicious speech. Then harsh words also same. By telling harsh words, the people, they get angry, they they are worried in that way, those things happen. Then gossip also saying that if we speak meaningless words according to the situations, according to the person, if you speak the meaningless words, those are gossiping. So we have to avoid all those things. Then the Mita Ditti, wrong news. Mita Ditti. Mita Ditti means when you follow eightfold pathway in other way around, that is Mita Ditti, Mita Sankappa, Mita Vata, Mita Kammanta, Mita Ajiva. In that way, you follow the eightfold pathway in other way around. You opposed it. Mita Ditti, Samma Ditti, Mita Ditti. You did not believe in the triple things. You do not believe in former birth. You do not believe the next birth, rebirth. You do not believe in kusala and akusala. You do not believe in titiksha, sila, samadhi, panya, towards nibbana. You don't believe them. In that way, the Mita Sankappa also saying that is the opposite side of the eightfold pathway. You developed concepts in your mind. You developed the concept of anger and violence and sensuous desire in your mind. In that way, you developed misconceptions in your mind. Then speech also same. You speak lying and malicious words you use. You use harsh words. You gossip, speaking. In that way, the Mitta Vata, Mitta Kammanta means you do unwholesome activities with your body as bodily actions like killing animals, stealing, having liquor, and that way you do wrong, you engage in wrong bodily actions. And speech also same. And then in that way, you do so many wrong things. Samma Ajiva, then Mitta Ajiva. You to live, to earn money, you engage in wrong employments that makes harm to society, like selling weapons to earn money, selling poison, selling liquor, selling meat, selling animals to earn money. in that way, then Mittavayam. Mittavayam means you try to develop unwholesome in your mind. You always think to produce unwholesome activities, to engage in unwholesome activities you developed. You suppress the wholesome thoughts in your mind. You do not allow to arise wholesome consciousness in your mind. That is Mitta Vayam, Mitta Sati. And you developed your mindfulness in wrong way. Mindfulness. You developed or you increase or you developed your mindfulness on unwholesome activity. Then you develop the Mitta Sati. You develop your mind on unwholesome activity. Then Mitta Samadhi. Mitta Samadhi means when you do some unwholesome activity, you concentrate your mind, you keep alert on that to succeed that unwholesome activity. That is Mitta Samadhi. Mitta Samadhi arises due to the mental factor of Ekaggata. In Abhidhamma, it has been described, mental factor Ekaggata, it engages in wholesome consciousness and unwholesome consciousness, both. So when person does unwholesome activity, suppose that he is a soldier, the doer is a soldier, he is in the war front now. Then he concentrate his mind to destroy the enemies, where when the enemy appears in front of him, in that way he concentrate his mind. There is a mental factor in Ekaggata. But this Ekaggata engage in unwholesome consciousness. So that concentration is called Mitta Samadhi. In that way, Buddha has explained we have to avoid those 10 unwholesome activities, and we have to develop tenfold of wholesome activities. That is, first one, abstaining killing, abstaining stealing, abstaining sexual misconduct. To abstain, you have to develop your mind in adicitta. When you develop your mind in adicitta, you can generate the wholesome consciousness called somanassa sahagata jnana sampayutta asankarika consciousness. Somanassa means you abstain from killing with joy. You want to save the animals. So you give food animals in happy mood, in joy. You you give safety for them. In that way, you developed metta in your mind towards being. When you developed this wholesome activity, wholesome consciousness, somanassa, you does it happily. Somanassa sahagata jnana sampayutta. Jnana is a knowledge. You have knowledge. If I commit killing being, I have to repent it. I will have bad result, but effect in future. Such knowledge you have. So you, because of that knowledge, you abstain from killing animals. Then, sasankarika, asankarika. So manas sahagata, jnana sampayutta, asankarika. Asankarika means you does it without any enforcement, without any motivations. You yourself spontaneously, unprompted, you does it unprompted. You abstain from killing, you abstain from stealing, you abstain from sexual misconduct, you abstain from lying. Yes, without any motivation, without enforcement, without prompt, unprompted. Then you, in your mind, you arise somanassa sahagata, jnana sampayutta, asankarika consciousness. Then you develop that adhicitta. When you develop this adhicitta, you take objects through your five faculties and you respond those objects like figure, rupa, sound, fragrance, taste, tangibility. In that way, you respond through your five faculties. You, when you respond the five objects to response, there must be contact, kassa. There must be contact, the doors of the faculty and the object and the consciousness. Then there arise vijnana, called chakku vijnana, eye consciousness. If it is wholesome activity, you abstain from killing, you abstain from stealing and sexual misconduct and so on, and then you arise wholesome eye consciousness there. Kassa, contact, it is wholesome. Then there arise after that feeling, vedana, feeling is arised. then that feeling also pleasure. It's not pain, it is pleasure. Then there are perceptions, sanya. You identify the kind of sense, what kind of feeling that you sense, perceptions. Then there is chetana, that is come, and chetana arise. Then there again arise the relevant consciousness. Chitta is there, and thought, vitakka, they arise. In that way, so many factors that relevant to the concentration and vipassana meditation, or samatha and vipassana meditation. There arise piti, rapture, piti, pleasure arise there, and mental one-pointedness arise there, ekaggata is there, ekaggata, and there arises the faculties of faith. Faith means towards triple gems. There arise faith. Faith is developed towards Buddha, the 9 qualities of the Buddha, 6 qualities of Dhamma, 9 qualities of Sangha. In that way, he developed his faith towards the triple gems. Then there arise concentration, and wisdom also. Wisdom also there arise, and mind. Then right thought there arise. Then right effort there arise. Then power of faith. Saddha bal, power of faith. Virya bal, power of effort. In that way, so many factors, constituents arise that connect with samatha and vipassana bhavana. So when the person or the bhikkhu developed his high morality, Buddha explained those constituents or the mental factors, they are arise in his mind that are connected to samatha and vipassana bhavana, tranquility and insight. Then the Buddha explained in this Vitakka Santana Sutta, when person developed his adhicitta, this high morality, he has to always concentrate or keep his mind on wholesome object that he has selected. The Buddha has pointed there are 38 objects to be think of or memorize or keep on your mind or concentration to develop your meditation. There are 38 objects. Out of those 38 objects, you have to select necessary objects or suitable objects for your character, and you have to always, once in a way, you have to keep your mind on that objects lead you towards to develop your absorptions, your jhana. So the Buddha emphasized when the person he concentrate or memorize or keep his mind on this object, sometime there uh, there may be some unwholesome thought, vitakka. Vitakka means unwholesome thought that connect with greed and hatred and delusion. There may be arise that connect with kanda. Kanda means love, desire. There may be arise some unwholesome thoughts that may be obstruction. If it keep on in your mind for some time, it may be obstructions to gain your absorptions. So the Buddha emphasized, if you develop, when you develop your adhicitta, if there arise any vitakka, vitakka means unwholesome thought that connect with the greed, delusion, hatred, vitakka. Then you have to abolish that vitakka. The Buddha pointed out the ways how you abolish these defilements. Vitakka means defilements. How to abolish your defilement and how to purify your mind. Buddha said, when you want to abolish or remove out your vitakka in your mind, you have to think of the wholesome object. You have to think of wholesome objects. You have to get away your mind from that vitakka, unwholesome object, and instead of that unwholesome object, you think of the wholesome object. For instance, if you have vitakka with the sensuous desire, kanda, then you have to take objects that is opposite to that sensuous desire. In that way, you have to remove out your vitakka with the wholesome activity, like it is when the carpenter he removes out a big nail by using a small nail. By using a small nail, he somehow he remove out. He make hole around the nail with a small nail, and he remove out that big nail. Then the board is the mind. Yeah. Big nail is the vitakka, unwholesome vitakka. Small nail is the wholesome object. In that way, the Buddha explained how you remove your unwholesome object vitakka by using the wholesome thoughts in that way. Now, if you have an idea to kill an animal, and then you have to create in your mind to develop metta to the being. In that way, you have to remove out your unwholesome vitakka thought with the wholesome thought, because the wholesome thought is more powerful than the unwholesome thought. So you can do it. Then again, your mind is concentrated. If you remove out that unwholesome object or thought from your mind, you can develop your mindfulness. You can keep on your concentration. Then the Buddha again says, if you think of the wholesome thought, to remove out the unwholesome thought, if you couldn't do it, still in your mind, if still in your mind, there is that vitakka. It is continuing in your vitakka. You couldn't remove out it with the wholesome thought. Then the Buddha said, what do you have to do there? Then you have to think of the bad effect of that unwholesome thought vitakka. You think of the bad effects, uselessness of that thought. In that way, you have to think of the bad result of that unwholesome vitakka. If you keep on that vitakka, you can't and enter into the absorptions. In that way, you think, and then you try to remove out it. You think of it is not for the cessation of suffering. Now, did the vitakka in your mind, you think this is not for the cessation of suffering. This is not for improving wisdom and so on. You think the bad effects. You think ill of that thought, and you remove out it. Then when you remove out it, then you can develop your mindfulness, and you can develop your concern and patience. Then Buddha explained, if you couldn't remove the same vitakka after thinking of the bad effect of that, then what you have to do? You must try to forget that vitakka by not thinking of that. You try to forget it. You try to not to think of that vitakka. In that way, you try it. You try and try to forget it. To forget that vitakka, you do some verbal actions like reciting stanza in loud. When reciting stanza in loud, you can forget that vitakka. Then when you think of, when you recite the 9 qualities of the Buddha, 6 qualities of Dhamma, 9 qualities of Sangha, you take a manual that contain the qualities of triple gems from your handbag, and you get the relevant page and you recite. Then you can forget. You can stay without thinking of that vitakka. So by using verbal actions and bodily actions, you can forget that vitakka. If you forget that vitakka, then you can develop your mindfulness. You can develop your mindfulness, and you can concentrate your mind. Then the Buddha says, when you tried your vitakka, by using those strategies to remove out the vitakka, but you couldn't do it, then what you have to do? The Buddha said, you have to think of the root of the vitakka, the origin of the vitakka. How does this vitakka appear in my mind? You have to think of the root of vitakka, the cause of vitakka. Then by remove out in the cause, you can remove out that vitakka. Like Buddha in Papanta Sudani, in commentary, there is Daddaba Jataka story. For instance, you know that Daddaba Jataka story, our Bosat, he was born as a lion, as a king of the forest, our Bosat. When rabbit was sleeping under a palm tree, belly nuts like wood apple, like apple, belly nuts fell down from the tree and it fell on that palm leaf and it uh, made great sound, that the like sound. Then the rabbit, he heard this sound just like the destructions of the earth. He thought now the earth is going to destroy. There is a disaster. The rabbit thought in that because of that sound. Then uh, he woke up and he began to run. When the rabbit was running, the other animals like deer, pigs, and other animals, they asked why you are uh, running. Rabbit said, now the disaster is coming, the earth is going to destruct. We have to save our lives. That's why I am running. Then that deer also began to run, and other animals like elephants, tigers, all the animals, they began to run after rabbits. Then the Bosat lion, he saw they are running. Then Bosat lion asked from the elephant, why are you running? They said, because this earth is going to end, destruct, destroy. For our safety, we are running. Then lion, Bosat lion king asked, did you see that destructions? They said, elephant said, no, we didn't see. Uh, tigers said us like that. They said about other animals. Then at last come to the rabbit. Then the Bosat lion asked rabbit, did you see the destructions of earth? How could you see that? The then the rabbit, uh, then the lions went with other animals to the place where the rabbit was sleeping under the palm tree, and the Bosat lion showed belly nut was there on the ground, and the palm tree, palm leaves is there. The Bosat understood that belly fell on that palm tree and it gave a great, terrible sound. In that way, the lion Bosat, he uh, found out the reason for Vitakka. Because of Vitakka, they began to run without understanding. The Bosat lion explained in the cause of the sound. In that way, the Buddha explained, if there is a vitakka that can't be removed out from your mind, you have to consider about the root of that vitakka, origin of that vitakka. After understanding the origin, you can remove out it. In that way, the Buddha explained how you keep your adhicitta, your sila, and how you developed your mind, your concentration and vipassana insight towards Nibbana. So after remove out this vitakka, you can develop your mindfulness and your concentration, and then you can enter arahantship after developing dhyana or absorption. Then you can enter arahant by abolishing 10 fetters, abolishing 10 fetters into nibbana. First stage is soan, sakkaya ditthi, vichikitta, silabbata, paramasa. These three fetters abolished. After breaking those three fetters, the person enter into soan. Then he break in halfway round, not completely. Kamaraga patiga. Kamaraga means desire for sensual pleasure. Patiga is vyapada, covetousness. In that way, halfway round he abolished, then he entered Saputagami. Then when he comes to Anagami, he abolished those two fetters completely. And then he has already broken 5 fetters. Then after when he enter into Nibbana, he abolished other 5 fetters. Ruparaga, Aruparaga, Mana, Datta, Avidya. Ruparaga means the desire for being in sensuous sphere in Brahmaloka, Rupa Brahmaloka and Arupa Brahmaloka. Ruparaga, Aruparaga, Mana, Mana, Uddata, with the Mana is that is that you think that you are the greatest person, you are the person in the society. Like that, you feel that wrong views about you, man, and that restlessness in your mind. Avidya means you understand the Four Noble Truth. Dukkha, Samudaya, Nirodha, Marga. You understand those Four Noble Truths and you abolish ignorance, avidya, then you enter Arahant. That way the Buddha explained how to develop your mind up to Arahantships, overcoming that vitakka. When you go on that pathway, there arise some obstructions, preventions, enemies there. So by overcoming those defilements, you have to continue your way towards Nibbana. In that way, the Buddha said. In other words, the Buddha explained, if you can't remove out the vitakka, by using the cause of the, by thinking or finding out the cause of the vitakka, then you have to do other thing is that you have to keep your tongue between your teeth, and you have to close your lips, and or you have to tighten your teeth on tongue, and you have to suppress the vitakka with the wholesome consciousness. Then your vitakka may be abolished. In that way, the Buddha showed the 5 ways to abolish the vitakka, and then after abolishing the 10 fetters, then you can enter Arahantship. I think the time is up now. Shall I stop my Sutta lesson? With this, we will meet in our next Sutta lesson. Blessing of the triple gems be showered upon you. Thank you very much for listening to me.
Much merit to you, Most Reverend Sir. And thank you so much to our listeners. If you do have any questions, you are welcome to unmute your microphone and then just voice your thoughts or questions here, or you can use the QR code to access the Google form through which you can submit your questions or your requests for future suttas. So today's sutta was a request, so we thank our listener for requesting the sutta. Yes, we have a question. Yes, you may speak now, Mr. I'm sorry, I can't pronounce it, but I see a hand raised, so over to you, sir.
Vandami Banteji, I have a question, whether we can have a one slide on only explaining this vitakka. That was my question. If it is available, can be made available. Yes.
So you let me rephrase that question, Reverend Sir. It is you would like a description of what vitakka is. Is that what you wanted?
Yeah.
Okay.
That means he wants to describe what is vitakka.
What is vitakka? Yeah.
Yeah. Vitakka is just like a probe. That's like an argument. Yes, that's like argument, but it is unwholesome. When you concentrate your mind in meditation, there arise some sometimes unwholesome thoughts, like sometimes you feel to have sensuous pleasure, to feel full your faculties. In that way, those are the vitakka. Then you can, sometimes you feel desire to have some good, so to practice luxurious life, or sometimes you may have idea to practice self-indulgence. In that way, those are the vitakka that obstructs your pathway towards nibbana, that you can't concentrate your mind in that at that time. You can't develop you can't keep your ekaggata, that is one-pointedness in your mind. There arises restlessness in your mind. That is vitakka. It's just like a probe. You argue, then you think, and in that way, that is called vitakka. That's why that rabbits and other animals, they ran without any purpose. After understanding that they they were able to stop their running. That is the nature of vitakka.
Reverend Sir, pardon me. So what I gather is vitakka is a quite broad term, and in this sense, in this sutta, what we mean when we talk about vitakka in an unwholesome manner, it is probably that inquisitiveness or that inquiry that leads us towards thoughts because we desire something or we want to kind of investigate it. By or like you said, probe it further. When we are sitting, when we are meditating, whatever things that we experience, and we want to kind of pursue them in an unwholesome manner, or some kind of thought. Vitakka is the thought that pushes us towards pursuing some pleasure or some other unwholesome root cause. Am I right?
Yeah, you are right.
You understand? Okay. What about you, sir, the person who asked the question? Is it clearer to you? Or?
Still some doubt is there. If it is some unwholesome thought, then I would like to know what is the difference between vitakka and thought, so that it can be more clear to me.
Vitakka and?
Thought.
Heart.
Thought, yeah.
Vitakka and heart.
Thought, vitakka and thought.
Thought, vitakka and thought. So I would think that vitakka is
vitakka
thought.
and thought.
Yeah. Difference between the two.
Vitakka itself is a thought, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Vitakka in English term, in English thought. Vitakka. In English thought. Right? Thought, they arise in the consciousness, thought. But these thoughts connect with the unwholesome. That is the meaning, vitakka. Thought, vitakka is thought, right? But it is unwholesome thought.
So it is unwholesome in the sense, one, it is obstructing you from your meditation practice in the right direction, and probably making you push or start a thought pattern or a string of thoughts to experience more and more on whatever initial thought you had about a certain experience. So vitakka in essence is a thought, or kind of like some, but in a discerning way, or trying in an inquisitive thought, or maybe sometimes it is quite hard to directly translate a Pali term to English, so you'll have to use quite a lot of words. So I would say, I think vitakka in this sense, when we say vitakka, all of those are thoughts initially, aren't they? Kind of they are thoughts, but if we are in this sense, any unwholesome thought that we are associating and we are trying to kind of get rid of, either by suppressing it or kind of overcoming it. The strategies that were discussed in this sutta was to overcome an unwholesome thought that will lead us in a direction that is not conducive for our path to Nibbana. So any unwholesome thought was a vitakka.
So in short, unwholesome thought is vitakka.
Yes.
Unwholesome thought is vitakka.
Yes, but in this case, vitakka can also mean just thought, right, Reverend Sir?
Yeah, thought. But here in this sutta, it is unwholesome thought. Vitakka.
Okay.
Because this is it comes together in twofold term. Like we are so used to hearing vitakka vichara.
That is difference, I
That
think.
is different,
Yes.
yes. So here
That is
Vitakka,
difference. Now, here, that is the unwholesome thought, vitakka. That's why in the first time the Buddha said, you have to remove out your vitakka with the wholesome thought.
yeah. So in this context, in this sutta, vitakka meant unwholesome thought, but sometimes you will find, so vitakka does not only mean unwholesome thought. When it is referred to in another context, it may have a different
When you refer to jhanas, vitakka, vichara, piti, sukha, ekaggata, fine sensuous jhana, that is difference, I think.
Okay, I hope you're much clearer, sir.
But then another is vichar. Vichar also is there. Vitakka, vichar. The vichar is also a thought. That what is the difference between vitakka and vichar? If that can be explained.
When you practice concentration, samatha bhavana, you develop your absorption jhana. The first jhana, vitakka, vichara, piti, sukha, ekaggata. Vitakka means they are accepting the object, right? Accepting, you welcome, you accept the object, and then with vichara, then you investigate what is this object. That is vichara here.
Okay, vichar means investigation.
Yes, investigation.
Okay. Because in normal sense, vichar is also a thought. In normal sense, normal translation, vichar is also a thought. That's why the confusion. So vichar is the investigation in this case. And vitakka is the unwholesome thought. If I understand
vitakka by itself, as in context to the sutta that we just discussed, vitakka is the unwholesome thought. But if it is in conjunction, when we say vitakka vichara, there is an element of investigative thoughts happening. So vitakka would be the initial investigation, whereas vichara would be much more in depth or meticulous kind of investigation. But all of those are in your thinking. So that would be thoughts. Thank you so much for that question. Do we have any more questions from our listeners? Okay. If not, we are 1 minute past the time that we are supposed to end. I would like to thank our reverends once again. Much merit to you, sir. And we will meet again with a new sutta on the 17th of December, 8 p.m. And I thank all our listeners who were here quite early and for your patience and your interest in the suttas. So do ask questions. Even if you have a question sometime after this class and before next Friday, you can send those questions through the Google form, and we will definitely address those issues. So thank you very much, and much merit to you, Reverend Sir. I will end the session now.
Yes, thank you. You also. Shall we wind up the class now?
Have a great weekend, everyone.